Today we're looking at the top 4 midterm elections in U.S. history. Hello, welcome to the Daily Bellringer. Please don't forget to subscribe and take a look at the questions down in the description. Also, don't forget to check out dailybellringer.com where you'll find more resources that go with many of the Bellringer videos. Election Day in the United States for general elections or federal public official elections occurs the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November in even-numbered years. Every 4 years, midterm elections occur. Midterm is referring to the term of the President of the United States who serves 4-year terms. So for example, President Joe Biden was elected in 2020, so midway through his term would be 2022. Midterm elections focus on voting for members of the United States House of Representatives and Senate. Many times midterm elections are seen as a gauge of how much the American people approve or disapprove of a president in office. If a large number of Republican candidates are voted into office during a Democratic president's term, that is viewed as being people not being happy with that president. Or on the opposite side, if a majority of Democrats win seats in Congress during a Democratic president's term, that is interpreted as people are happy with how the nation is going. Throughout American history, there have been several key midterm elections that impacted the course of the nation. The election of 1826 would take place as the nation was coming to the end of the era of good feelings. After the War of 1812, there was a wave of patriotism that swept the country, and the two-party system all but disappeared. The Federalist Party, which had been those in favor of a stronger federal government when the Constitution was written, lost favor, and the Democratic Republicans, led by President James Monroe, would be the party of choice. But when it came time for the presidential election of 1824, all of the candidates were of one party. Then, of course, in the presidential election in 1824, there was no clear winner in the Electoral College, and the election was decided by the House of Representatives, who chose John Quincy Adams to be the next president over Andrew Jackson, who had actually won the popular vote. This created great division within the Democratic-Republican Party, and by the midterm election of 1826, the splintering of the party began to gain steam. Many supporters of Jackson were voted in and would then set the stage for Jackson to win the presidency in 1828 and bring a new era of politics with the birth of the Democratic Party. The election of 1858 occurred as the nation was bitterly divided over the issue of slavery. As new states were being added to the Union throughout the first half of the 1800s, the balance of the number of free states versus the number of slave states was a constant argument. President James Buchanan, a Democrat, had recently supported the movement for Kansas to be added as a slave state after a fraudulent election had occurred there to decide the issue and violence had broken out. The newly formed Republican Party, founded on the principle of eliminating slavery, was able to win control of the House of Representatives and took many seats in the Senate. This solidified the Republican Party and would lead to the eventual election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860, which would also lead to Southern states seceding from the Union and the Civil War. The election of 1874 took place midway through Republican President Ulysses S. Grant's second term in office, and also as the United States was attempting to piece itself back together after the Civil War during Reconstruction. Grant's administration had suffered several scandals, and the U.S. economy was not doing well. The Republicans, who had held control of the House of Representatives since 1858, lost control of the House to the Democrats. This set the stage for the close presidential race of 1876, in which the Democratic-controlled House would decide the presidential election and offer a compromise to allow Rutherford B. Hayes to become president while ending Reconstruction policies and removing troops from southern states there to ensure African Americans their rights. This would usher in the era of Jim Crow laws that heavily discriminated against African Americans. The election of 1930 occurred barely a year after the stock market crash of 1929 and the nation beginning to be plunged into the Great Depression. Republican President Herbert Hoover was perceived by many Americans as doing nothing to address the worsening economy and unemployment. Democrats began to get major support from labor unions, farmers, and racial minorities. The Republicans would lose over 45 seats in the House of Representatives and 8 seats in the Senate. This wave of Democrats would help to usher in Franklin Roosevelt as president and New Deal policies. This short list obviously does not cover every single significant midterm election. And to be honest, every election is important, no matter how big or small, as each election plays a significant role in how our nation moves forward. So, if you are eligible, please make sure you get out and vote. Voting is the responsibility of every citizen to ensure our democracy continues. So with that, hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.